You don't know whether they're dirty or clean because they look the same, how your roommate is. You're thinking, I don't know what these clothes are like. And everything has happened, and you have to get used to someone's they have a different way of doing things. You're asleep, you're minding your own business. The door comes open at 12 or 1 in the morning. The stereo's on 20. It's on. He's talking on the phone. The television flicks on. The radio's flicking on. You're thinking, I just got in. I'm just trying to sleep. That's what it's like dealing with a roommate. Now, with Muslims, you'll have perhaps less of those things, you hope. But it's still different. So what happens with Abdul Rahman ibn Auf? He gets paired up with Uthman ibn Affan. So he walks in. He's paired up with him. And Uthman said to him, he said, listen, I know what's happened to you. You've lost everything. So I have an offer to make you. I have this property here. I will split it in half and that becomes yours. I will sign it to you. My wealth is yours. I will split it in half. Give you my wealth. I have 2 wives. If you should decide to get married, I will introduce you to both of them. And whichever one you will prefer, I will divorce her. And when she finishes her iddah, you can marry her. Now that hadith in Tabaqat of Ibn Sa'ad, it shows us the sacrifice, the brotherhood that was there. Nowadays, some of us may ask a Muslim brother for a little financial help and there's that funny look for a few seconds. And it wasn't 50 pounds, it wasn't 100 pounds, it might have just been 5. And there's that, what, you're not working right now? Have you been made redundant? You know there's a recession on, brother. We're in an economic downturn. But he didn't hesitate. So what was Abdul Rahman ibn Auf's response? Was it, yeah, give me everything. I'll take it all. What? Half your wealth? Okay, got my house going and I have my woman going. Was that his response? No, his response was actually different. He said, I am not in need of any of that. Show me where the market is so that I might complete my affair. So he's in another city, another part of the country, doesn't know how the financial situation works, but he walks into the market and he looks around and he decides, I'm going to figure this out. And he starts wholesaling, learning how to barter in this new city, locating wholesalers, buying the product, looking at its quality. Goes through the same process. But in the evenings and into the night, he's busy studying about the deen, putting his effort into studying about this religion. You see, sometimes someone may tell you, maybe a parent, or sometimes you might think, oh, well, I've got to balance my deen and my dunya. No, that's hogwash. Your deen should be higher and more than the earthly things that you're doing. Because that's the core and mainstay of your life. If you make them half and half, then that's putting them on equal par. And is the earthly life that you live on par with the faith that you have? Of course not. Because you could get killed for your faith. You could get killed for your faith. You could lose family and friends because of your faith. So they can't be on par. I'm trying to balance them both. Stop trying to balance them. You're meant to be faith heavy. And then employment and those other things, they'll come in. What, you think the one that created you and fed you and gave you a place to stay? Oh no, he can't deal with my employment issues. I have to sort that myself. But Allah handles everything else. He's created the universe, the 7 skies, the 7 earths. He's dealing with the atoms, the fact that the universe and the different galaxies are moving away from each other at 16,000 miles a second. But no, he's not in charge of my employment though. That's me. That's ridiculous. You and I both know that he's in charge of that as well. And he can put things in place to protect you. And so Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, what he did is he began slowly building up his fortune again, but studying hard. And he made a decision, which not all of you have to make, but he made a decision that he wanted to become a scholar. He put all of his effort into it. Because when he saw Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, he was just amazed at his knowledge, the depth of his knowledge, how much he could retain. Ja'far ibn Abi Talib was able to quote verses off the top of his head, able to retain. Sometimes he'd hear just one verse recited one time and he'd retain it. Ayatul Kursi is one verse, but it's 7 lines. He heard it one time and retained it. And an absolutely prodigious memory. So Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, who did not have quite that prodigious a memory, worked at it, worked really hard, put everything he had into it. Well, while in Medina, the issue of war came up. Because now you have people who were unbelievers from Mecca who were not satisfied that, okay, the Muslims have left, leave them alone now. No, this isn't done, because now they're converting more people. And so the battles began. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf, he didn't know a lot about warfare. He was a merchant by profession. But he had to learn. He had no other choice. And so in the battle of Uhud, in the battle of Badr, he fought in that battle, did his utmost. And the battle of Uhud, in which 45 of the 50 archers came down from the hillock, he was one of those who jumped forward and tried to keep the unbelievers from killing the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He had over 20 sword wounds on his back alone, just from trying to hold on and do what Allah had told him to do. Because there are some people, and it proves to us that there are some people in life, it doesn't matter how nice you are, that they will try to eliminate you. So self-defense was his only option. His relationship with Uthman became much tighter, and with Az-Zubayr ibn al-Awwam, his relationship became quite tight. And all the way up into the latter part of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam's life, they went around to all of the different tribes preaching the faith. And then when he was readied, he had watched the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam send Mu'adh ibn Jabal to Yemen and to Sham. He had watched that happen. He had wrapped his amama for him and told him, you are going to a people from the Jews and Christians. They are people of the book. And he advised him on what to do. And Mu'adh ibn Jabal was asked, if you should go amongst them and you don't know the answer to a question, what will you do? He said, I will look in the Quran. And then he said to Mu'adh, and if you don't find it there, I will look in the Sunnah. And if you don't find it there, I will look in the understanding of the companions that are senior most to me. And he said, and if you don't find it there, he said, then I will look at the other 3 and I will come to a judgment using them. This is the basis of how scholars come to fatwa. And he said, you've spoken rightly, and sent him out. Abdul Rahman ibn Auf's time came where the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam took his amama and wrapped it around Abdul Rahman ibn Auf's head and said, I want you to go to the people of Dumatul Jandal and teach them this faith. The people of Dumatul Jandal were descendants of Duma, the 5th son of the Prophet Ismail alayhi salam. And they had rejected Islam initially. And Khalid bin Walid had to go there. And he said he found them to be the most obstinate people. Now Abdul Rahman ibn Auf is being sent there. They tried to kill Khalid. They tried to kill anyone. Christian missionaries had tried to go there and they'd cut their heads off and their tongues out. The people of Dumatul Jandal were not user-friendly. They weren't neighborly. But he had total confidence in Abdul Rahman ibn Auf. So he takes the black amama, makes his way, touches down there. He's surrounded by hostile people, and he preaches the faith, and it sparks off a series of mass conversions. And so the people of Dumatul Jandal, today, they've spread out in countries like Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, these areas, these families, the Sabah, Al Khalifa, Al Thani, these people, they are the fruit